May 6, 2025, I am Sharian Noel. In the headlines, National Cricket Stadium nears upgrade completion and data and statistics training for government officials. Details to these stories and more when we return.
Climate change is real, bringing hotter days and less rain. Less rain means less water, so it is crucial for all of us to conserve water at home. When washing my fruits and vegetables, I use a bowl of water, and later I reuse it to water my plants. This is how I save water at home. What are you waiting for?
I'm a VIP. I'm a VIP.
I am VIP. I am vaccinated. I am immunized. I am protected. Our children and nation depend on vaccination for immunization. Childhood vaccination is national priority. It is their protection from disease and sicknesses. Let's all be VIPs and safeguard our beautiful Grenada. I am DJ Blackstorm and I am a VIP health champion. Be a VIP like me.
Let's all be VIP champions.
A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Be a VIP Childhood Vaccination and Immunization Campaign in collaboration with UNICEF and the Pan American Health Organization.
So you think it's all about sport? Running can save your life. Say you're at the beach, having a good time, and you feel a strong shaking. Run. See the water withdraw an unusual distance from the shore. Run. Hear a strange roar. Run. If you experience any of these warning signs, run to higher ground.
There may not be enough time for an official tsunami warning. Be tsunami smart. Know the natural warning signs. Are you ready?
Visit weready.org, brought to you by SEDIMA and the European Union.
Run.
Welcome back. Refurbishment works on the Grenada National Cricket Stadium is nearing completion, with significant upgrades to the facility. The renovation works being carried out by Shanghai Boyer Group Limited addressed various aspects of the cricket stadium, which includes roof works, screen replacement, seating, the enhancement of amenities such as food stalls, restrooms, and accessibility options. Calvin Alexander, Acting Operations Manager at the Grenada Stadium Authority on Monday, shared with the GIS a progress report on the present status of the refurbishment works.
Most of the work already completed in terms of these systems, like the PA system, the screen system, the camera system as well, the fire system. We're now in the process of installing some new seats. Those is not yet completed. We're in the process as well. We are in the process right now of doing some painting as well. The roof is already completed, so it's just some minor work to get done right now. So I would say that we are roughly about 85% completed.
In terms of the screens and the PA systems, and so you've tested all of those already?
Yes, we have.
Alexander says presently the team is working on the replacement of damaged seats in the various stands and the reinstallation of seats in the posse stand area.
So we would be only changing approximately 4,000 seats. So we would only go in between and remove those bad ones and replace them. Yeah, but we still have some minor work to get done still in terms of those washrooms and so.
Alexander says the bulk of the work now has to do with cleaning, as most of the painting is completed, and he believes that they are in a comfortable position to a completion date. He also spoke to the installation of 2 transformers that were damaged during the November 2024 floods that are now on the island.
Most of it right now is just cleaning in those area. Renlec would be here to install the 2 new transformers that was damaged in the flood last November.
Those transformers facilitate what?
Right. So those transformers, they supply power to the main stand. That's the stand. I'm the closest to River Road.
The works are expected to be completed by the middle of June 2025, in time for necessary branding works to be done for Grenada's hosting of the international test match West Indies vs Australia, July 3rd to 7th. Grenada was the first stop of a regional fact-finding tour as part of plans to develop a regional apiculture policy aimed at strengthening the beekeeping sector across the OECS. The initiative is being spearheaded by the Association of Caribbean Beekeepers Organization in partnership with the Caribbean Youth Environment Network, with the goal of creating a more sustainable and coordinated industry throughout member states. Stakeholders from Grenada's apiculture industry met at the Grenada Bureau of Standards recently with consultant Floyd Homer, who is leading the policy development process. His mission is to understand the unique opportunities and challenges faced by each OECS territory, ensuring the final policy is both comprehensive and regionally appropriate.
So it's still early days to say what the range of issues are going to be, but likely it centers around beekeeping and hive management, pest and disease management, trade in honey among the OECS within and between regions around the world, as well as issue standard for honey. What is honey? What is honey? What is a Grenadian honey? What is a St. Lucian honey? What is a Vincentian honey? You know, working on what should be the standard for honey here that perhaps identifies the range of constituents of the honeys in the different countries in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. It may show up island differences or geographic difference. We don't know. We've not done that kind of. So there are opportunities. The policy will likely address a broad framework to guide where the industry goes and how it goes and how it ought to be managed.
Homer held discussions with a broad cross-section of stakeholders, including representatives from the Grenada Bureau of Standards, Grenada Development Bank, Grenada Investment Development Corporation, Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, local beekeepers, and members of the newly formed Beekeepers Association.
There has been a lot of challenges for beekeepers, especially with the fluctuating weather. There's a lot of loss due to mites, like the varroa mite is a big thing, so people have been losing bee population, heavy population loss. So beekeepers are struggling, just not the financial aspects of things, just to maintain the population side. So some of the policies and the things we discussed today actually look at funding opportunities, regularization, record keeping, registration, and other things that would help beekeepers in the future, even people coming into beekeepers, mentorship and training, not just financial support, but technical support, testing support. So holistically, it gives beekeepers an opportunity to maximize productivity and still have other ways they can look into keeping their bees healthier, getting a better honey product out there.
That was veterinarian and beekeeper Kenrit Carter. Discussions during the stakeholder engagement focus on hive management practices, pest and disease control, the establishment of honey standards, and exploring trade opportunities. Director of the Grenada Bureau of Standards, Robert Medford, speaks on the importance of developing a policy.
I think in the policy it should concentrate on what quality infrastructure services will be available to support beekeepers, not only just having the standard, having the facilities to ensure that they have access to testing. There are other things such as access to financing, access to information. I think all of those will strengthen the policy. The difference it's going to make is that we need a competitive advantage. I think the policy can guide that competitive advantage, and coming from the quality field, I think quality would be the competitive advantage.
A draft policy is expected to be completed in 2.5 months. The final version is scheduled to be presented at the upcoming OECS Ministers of Agriculture meeting later this year. This is the GIS News. More news after the break.
I'm a VIP. I'm vaccinated. I'm a VIP. I'm immunized.
As a parent, it is my responsibility to care and protect my children. It is my responsibility to ensure they are safeguarded at all times. It is the same for you to safeguard your children by keeping them on their vaccination and immunization schedule. Make them a VIP, vaccinated, immunized, and protected. I am Pinky Fabulous. I am a VIP health champion. Be a VIP like me.
Let's all be VIP champions.
A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Be a VIP Childhood Vaccination and Immunization Campaign in collaboration with UNICEF and the Pan American Health Organization.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with but a step. So the journey of a year begins with but a sec. 1 second is the difference between old and new. The difference between what you have done and what you have to do. 1 second is the difference between who you were and who you are going to be. The difference between a year of expectations and a year of memories. Awaiting you is a year of opportunities and new moves. Just one final second to reflect. And then we must embrace indeed. I reckon 1 second is all we need.
Welcome back. The importance of data and statistics to a country's economic development and achievement of its sustainable development goals was highlighted Tuesday during the launch of a training project on strengthening capacity to design and implement projects to enhance resilience in Caribbean small island developing states. The training, which is part of a United Nations Capacity Development Program, comes in response to a direct call from Caribbean SIDS during the 4th International SIDS Conference last year. 3 capacity building workshops will be conducted by ICLAC on strategic policy planning, cost-benefit analysis, and statistical analysis approaches. A national training course in project preparation and implementation will also be conducted, and a masterclass in data and statistics for decision-making for staff and officials of the Houses of Parliament was also held on Tuesday. Addressing the opening at the True Blue Bay Resort on Tuesday morning, Minister for Economic Development and Planning, Honorable Lennox Andrews, urged participants to see themselves as being part of the solution to economic development in Grenada.
So why do we need training in strategic policy planning, cost-benefit analysis, and statistical analysis? The management of the business of the state of Grenada requires disaggregated data and statistics that are produced and disseminated in a timely manner. First and foremost, we need the data to report on our own budget indicators and policy outcomes. We also need the data for project and policy programming and for monitoring of development outcomes to inform reporting to the United Nations and other international agencies who are co-implementers of the SDGs. We live in a world that keeps changing. Therefore, knowledge must be functional and must be up to date. In that way, you as a technical level staff will be in a better position to advise us, people like myself, who make policy for our country.
Grenada is one of 7 countries that will benefit from the training. Other Caribbean countries include St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Antigua and Barbuda. Mr. Simon Springett, UN Resident Coordinator for Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean, pointed to the importance of being able to access reliable and correct data that can make an impact on areas from climate change adaptation to a country's health system.
We additionally have the opportunity to use this process to build upon the post-disaster needs assessment from Hurricane Beryl and to use a database analysis to support post-Beryl reconstruction efforts and strategies. And then, as Diane said, this of course will also feed into ABAS monitoring, which will be critical in the years ahead to drive data-driven understanding of how SIDS have been able to collectively move forward on the global SIDS agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals.
Ms. Diane Qualis, Director of ECLAC Caribbean, explained the purpose of the project.
This project is designed with a dual purpose in mind: to enhance the technical skills of decision makers, to develop policies and projects that promote sustainable development, and to build resilience to shocks, to strengthen the institutional capacity of our beneficiary countries, to facilitate greater synergy in implementation of both the SDGs and the others. Over the last decade, we at ECLAC have ascribed a high priority to capacity strengthening in our constituent countries, and Grenada has participated actively in many of these projects. Most recently, the BA12 project on Caribbean Sea's relevant climate change and disaster indicators for evidence-based policies that played a key role in enhancing the capacity of the CSO to produce the Grenada Environment Statistics Compendium. And we did that work between 2019 and 23, just literally on the eve of the passage of Hurricane Beryl across Grenada.
Moving along, international cricket returns to the Grenada National Cricket Stadium with the West Indies vs Australia Test match July 3rd to 7th, 2025. Coordinator of Sports Colin Peters, during an interview with the GIS on Monday, says the Cabinet of Grenada has already appointed a national organizing committee led by Dominic Jeremiah and a local organizing committee led by President of the Grenada Cricket Association, Norman Gilbert, for the successful hosting of the Test match. Peters serves on both the NOC and LOC.
So far everything is in place. We prepare our first meeting, official meeting this week of the local organizing committee. We have been meeting before to make sure some of the preparatory work that we have seen here now will commence. So far we must say that we feel pleased and satisfied with where the games are. One of the pending problems was we wasn't sure about we had the flood in November, and some of the generators get flooded out and needed transformer and needed a new one. So I must say I'm happy to inform that, and that was one of the concerns from the West Indies Cricket Board too, on the arrival of the transformer. So it's here, and Grenada could install it today, and that shows that we are prepared.
Peters says he's satisfied with the progress of the work done since the last visit of the Cricket West Indies team.
The screen is up, as I say, the painting has almost been done. Some cleaning to the rooms. We have 2 visits with the chief curator representing the ministry. The West Indies Cricket Board, Crofton, has been here to speak to Hulas and to look at the progress of the work. He should be here this week. We had visit from the operation manager from the West Indies Cricket Board also here a couple of times to make sure that we are prepared and we are doing what is expected of us. We also have a checklist that we are working on to make sure that the cricket is not something that is new to us and we are accustomed with, but we want to maintain that high standard and continue with the good review we are accustomed after the cricket. It's a big game. It's West Indies versus Australia come July 3rd to the 7th, and we are working to make sure that we are proud at the end of the day in the work that have been done on the refurbishment of the stadium, and all the policies and procedures and recommendation will be met to suit the West Indies Cricket Board or visiting public, persons coming in on all aspects of the game.
Norman Gilbert, President of the Grenada Cricket Association and head of the local organizing committee, applauds the initiative of the government in hosting an international cricket game in Grenada after the 18-month break.
We have a responsibility for all the operational stuff regarding the game, and that includes the operation of the players, match officials area, pitch, outfield, scoreboard, electronic scoreboard, ticketing, the volunteers program, to ensure that there is a wonderful experience for the players and the match officials. And we are also responsible for ensuring that ticket sales are taking place, as well as to support the National Stadium and the government of Grenada in execution of the overall operation of the game. So we are basically responsible for all the operational aspect.
Gilbert says as the days come down to the hosting of the West Indies versus Australia Test match, he is pleased to have witnessed the new screens operational and the promise to have the manual scoreboard reconstructed in a matter of weeks.
Thankfully, with the support of the Chinese and stadium and the National Stadium Authority, we expect to have a newly erected manual scoreboard the deadline for that submission of the deadline for preparation of the manual scoreboard is June 15th. I believe that we can achieve that based on the scope of work that is required for the construction of the manual scoreboard. So we have sufficient time, I believe, to have the erection of the manual scoreboard. It would be different in design from what would have obtained originally. But of course, the manual scoreboard is a backup to the electronic scoreboard and replay screen in the event that there is any power failure or any malfunction of the software, so that spectators can still have a view of what's taking place on field. And by standard requirement, players themselves also need to have a sense of the match position, and so the manual scoreboard is a very important part of the game. Even though we have hosted international matches for the last 5 years, we are only doing so with one scoreboard. We had no replay screen, and every time there is an international match, we have to have a temporary installation of a replay screen in a position that we believe would have affected spectator view. Of course, with the new construction, we now have 2 replay screens and scoreboard with dual function. So both screens can have the score as well as replay, so that the spectators can be, well in tune with what's taking place in the game. And that experience, I believe, would be much better for the spectators, so that they can view the replays, they can see the updated scores.
Tickets are already online via the Cricket West Indies website, with local ticket sales to commence 3 weeks prior to the Test match, July 3rd to 7th. The GIS news will return after these messages.
Are you thinking about buying a vehicle? Did you find a company on social media? Stop. It may be a scam. Look out for the following red flags. Is the price lower than other dealers? Does it seem too good to be true? Are you sending the monies to the US even though you are ordering the vehicle from Japan? Does the address on the invoice match the address on the payment details? Are conversations limited to WhatsApp text? Is there a sense of urgency placed on you by the seller? You are about to be scammed. Do not take your hard-earned cash, or even worse, a loan, to send to these scammers. Once the money leaves Grenada's shores, you are not likely to get it back. Consider buying a vehicle already on island from an individual or a car dealer. Beware of these scammers. If in doubt, it's best to stay out. A message from the Financial Intelligence Unit.
Global warming and sea level rise are of increasing concern to coastal communities of the Caribbean. Approximately 70% of this problem is caused by the production of electricity using petroleum fuels. Electricity production from renewable energy technologies such as wind, hydro, biomass, and geothermal are proven solutions to replace petroleum fuels while saving valuable foreign exchange.
The Caribbean Renewable Energy Development Program is working with regional governments to transform the electric sector and thereby ensure the optimal addition of renewable energy into the region's electricity supply.
CREDIP, working towards a sustainable energy future for the Caribbean.
Climate change is real, bringing hotter days and less rain. Less rain means less water, so it's crucial for us to conserve water at home. When washing my vehicle, I use a bucket with rainwater that I have stored. This is how I save water. What are you waiting for?
Welcome back. A high volume of waste is generated during the carnival season due to the number of events and visitors on the island. Nikolai Boyk, Communications Assistant at the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority, says as a result of this, the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority has planned several approaches to ensure the effective collection and disposal of waste during the period. Mr. Boyk made the statement while being a guest on the Spice Month's launch pre-show last Friday.
Firstly, let me thank the promoters who have been doing the correcting when it comes to proper waste management. Already we have been receiving phone calls from promoters and engaging us and asking, how do they go about disposing waste that they generate as a part of the event. And we want the other promoters to come on board, call us at the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority, discuss with us, and we will tell you, we will give you best advice on how to manage the waste you generate at your event.
right? So key is ensuring that we have the promoters on board. And at the events, we want to ensure that you have the adequate receptacles for the disposal of the garbage that's generated during the event. And the key also is ensuring that you announce to the patrons where these receptacles are, right? Because it's one thing to have the bins, but people don't know where it is and how to use it, right? So we are calling on the promoters, to walk along with us and join with us as we better manage the waste that's generated during the season.
Boyd says high on the agenda will be a sensitization campaign to get patrons to dispose of plastic bottles in the receptacles provided, as the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority over the past 2 years has been vigorously addressing the issue of plastic pollution.
We are big on the circular approach. Okay, we're no longer looking at waste as something that is for final disposal, right? Waste right now is a resource. We're looking at getting value from the waste that we generate, and one of that is through the collection of plastic waste, right? So during the carnival season, people can look out for our plastic bottle. It's a mesh bottle, mesh wire bottle, shaped like a plastic bottle, right? And we're encouraging you, when you see this, to place only your plastic bottles in it, your plastic beverage bottles in it, right? This is then taken to our Queen's Park facility where it's processed for recycling. So plastic bottles are no longer going to the landfill, and we are hoping, as time goes on, we have more Grenadians buying in to storing their plastic and bringing it off to certain locations where we can then process it for recycling.
A plan with sanitation workers for the removal of waste after events during the Spice Mass season is already in place with the Spice Mass Corporation, he says.
When you see the sanitation workers moving past, when they're cleaning right after the celebrations, we expect people, not to just be littering on the streets anymore. Hold on to your garbage until you can find a bin to adequately dispose of your garbage, because the teams are out after every carnival. As soon as Juve is out, they're on the streets to clean for parades of the band. As soon as that is finished, they're out to clean for the Monday night mass. And as soon as Carnival is completed on the Tuesday, they're out every year cleaning. So what we want from the patrons, what we want from Grenadians, is when you see the teams out, do not make it difficult for them, right? Hold on to your garbage until you can find a bin to dispose of your garbage.
Whose responsibility is it in terms of the vendors and so? Because sometimes with crates and the plastic that was around the crates. So whose responsibility is it to remove the crates and so after?
Right, so this falls directly to the vendors. They are aware of this because every year the Solid Waste Management Authority, we do work closely with the Ministry of Health for the certification of vending for festivals and for events. And part of that certification is a waste management module, right? And we Solid Waste Management Authority, we give the training for that waste management aspect of it, right? And even our Waste Management Act speaks to how waste should be disposed of from vending operations. So they are aware, the licensed vendors, they are aware of what should be done at the end of festivals. And key this year, what is critical this year is that we now have our compliance unit, right? We have a compliance unit within the Solid Waste Management Authority, and they will be on the ground to ensure that there is good compliance from not only promoters but also vendors as well.
Boyd says everyone should work towards celebrating Spice Mass 2025 with a clean environment. And with that, we come to the end of the GIS news for Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sharianne Noel, thanking you for viewing.